So, what's up people and welcome to the Mission 111 discussion of Spy Family. So Mission 111 came out about a week ago, and as always I will leave a link to this mission that's currently being shown on the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, for free to the North American audience. So if you're interested, I will go take a look at it before they pull this mission back. Okay, so Mission 111. Mission 111 was a very interesting one. It was actually a very short chapter, even shorter than many of the short missions that Tatsuya Endo would write during his break. However, despite its length, it was a very important chapter because of the significant revelation that came out in this chapter. And in fact, if it wasn't for the fact that One Piece also brought out this tremendous lore dump in chapter 1138 during the same time, I would have said that this was probably one of the biggest reveals of any comic during that week. And in fact, despite it being very short, I would say the revelation that you saw in Mission 111 was almost as revealing as what we saw in 110 when we found out that Donovan Desmond can read minds. And of course, this one is done very subtly once more, which is something that I really love about Tatsuya Endo's writing. He never blurts it out as, hey, this is a reveal, let me show it to you. It always comes out as part of the story so that you do see a reveal, but it's never really kind of brought out with that intention. It just ends up being part of the story. And so in this case, the reveal is, of course, well, I like to say it's little Anya because she is so cute in this chapter. And considering Anya is still very little in the entire story right now, I guess I would say even more little Anya in this case. But the reveal is not Anya, but it's of course her mother. And this was one thing that we've always wondered about from the very beginning. Did Anya have a mother? And if so, what was she like? Now, if you recall in the first chapter of this series, we were told that Anya, or Subject 007, was a creation from the experiments that were happening in Astania, which we later found out was most likely Project Apple. And considering that she was described as someone that was created, there was this question that came out. Was she somebody that was not born from a mother and a father, but was created in the laboratory, as was implied in the first chapter? But what we find out in this chapter is there is indeed a mother. Now, we did know during the interview at Eden College that there might have been a mother, considering when the really rude teacher asked about Anya's previous mother, her true mother. Anya didn't say anything, but you saw from the reaction that she had that there may have been a mother. But that was the only real indirect clue that we had. But in this chapter, we actually see her mother. And although Tatsuya Endo doesn't give us a really strong image of the mother, we do get to know one thing. One is that she looks very much like Anya. And there's a good possibility that she may have pink hair similar to Anya. But in any case, although we don't know what the color of her hair is, we do know that she does have those very interesting horns that Anya has, which when she was an infant was more like a ball. More like Sailor Moon style, right? And we know that from the current actions that Anya has, whenever she reads somebody's mind, you always see those horns in action. You see these little electrical sparks that happen. So does that imply that since her mom also has those horns, was she a product of Project Apple? And if so, was she able to read minds as well? In which case, were both of them kind of test subjects / prisoner of that group? And if so, this does indicate a couple of things. First of all, if this is a scene that they are together, then they are most likely still in that project. And what's interesting is later on in this chapter, you see the two of them together, and the mother is telling Anya, wouldn't it be nice if they could soar through the sky like those butterflies? Which is interesting, which may indicate that if they are prisoners, then what she may be implying is that the flight that she's talking about is freedom, right? Oftentimes, flying away is figuratively associated with freedom. We don't really know beyond that point because the one last thing that, of course, we find out is that Anya hugs the lady and does call her mama. So we do realize that this lady is Anya's mother. But as it turns out, it turns out to be a dream sequence. And Anya, because she's hugging her mom so hard, when she wakes up, she finds out that she's choking Bond, right? And after she wakes up, the chapter seems to indicate that she doesn't even recall what she dreamt about because she completely goes into some other thought. When Lloyd starts asking what he should buy for dinner, Anya starts wondering what she wants to get, and Yor says potato gratin. And Anya's like, yeah, that's it. Mom, you can read my mind. Which is interesting because during that time, you see Lloyd make a very interesting expression. And considering we knew what happened in the last reveal, which was that Melinda told Lloyd that Donovan can read minds, Anya's statement may have brought that memory back. And the chapter ends when Yor tells Lloyd that it wasn't that she read Anya's mind, but that when Anya was watching TV earlier, she saw an image of potato gratin and pointed to it and said that's what she wanted. And you see this kind of relief sort of smile on Lloyd's face. And most likely he's saying, yeah, why would there be anybody who could read somebody's mind? That's just too outlandish. And so this was a very interesting chapter. And the revelations that came out were things that we always wanted to learn more about. But it does open up a lot more questions now that we learn so much about it. So if there was a mother, we also remember in chapter 1 that Anya escaped from the institution according to the narrator. And so if she escaped, then she probably left under a situation that they were trying to hold her, and they couldn't because she got away. And the other thing, of course, that we recall is that during that time when the rude teacher mentioned her previous mother, Anya started crying, which indicates that whatever happened, it was a tragic situation. Now, the crying may imply that her mother died, and in the beginning when I saw that, I kind of expected that. But it may not be the case. It may just be the case that they separated. And if a daughter, of course, separates from the mother that she loves, then of course that will be a tragic situation that will bring tears to the person's eyes. So, did the mom pass away? That's something that I myself cannot say is clear. But whatever the case, there is something tragic. The other thing is that considering that it was only under that situation where the teacher asked that question that Anya instinctively started crying, there may be a possibility that Anya doesn't remember her original mother. Because even in this dream sequence after she wakes up, instead of remembering her mother, it seems like she just has come back, not even recalling what she dreamt about. And again, that previous situation with the crying, it seemed almost instinctive situation rather than something that she was consciously doing. And considering the fact that she has never brought out her mother during this entire series, considering how much we are allowed to read Anya's mind, you would expect that during the interactions that she has with Yor, one of these days, if she knew that she had a mother and had memories of her, then those would come up during the interactions that she had with her current mother, which is Yor. And so, why does she not remember her mother? One possibility is that she was so young that she could not recall her mother consciously, and thus they separated when she was very, very young. We don't know that. But that may be one possibility. The other possibility is considering that she did cry during that certain point when she remembered her mother, maybe once again that her separation was tragic, and if that was the case, she put that memory into recess, and because of that she cannot recall her mother consciously. We don't know. But whatever the case, it seems to indicate that she had a mother, and that mother seemed to potentially have the same sort of powers that she did. And if that's the case, and if both of them were subjects of Project Apple, both being able to read minds, how does Donovan's capability of being able to read minds fall into this? Was Project Apple doing this experiment for a very long time, and was Subject 007 or Anya the next generation of experiments that Project Apple did to improve upon the telepathic capabilities that maybe Donovan has or her mother has? Or was Anya born naturally such that she inherited the power from her mother, and this wasn't really a situation where Project Apple deliberately turned Anya into a telepathic being? We're not really sure, but it opens up a lot of questions. And finally, once again, if it was tragic, and if Anya's mother is still alive, then was she the one that somehow helped Anya escape? And was she the one that got captured again, and so they separated? In which case, of course, Anya's mother could be dead, but Anya's mother could be still alive. Whatever the case, again, this opens up a lot of questions. So this chapter was quite short, but it was definitely very informative, and it does open up a lot more questions with regards to the story. And of course, considering that this is the chapter that came out immediately after chapter 110, where we find out that Donovan can read minds, we're starting to wonder, what is Tatsuya Endo trying to do by building up the story in this manner? All this time, Donovan was a mysterious character, and in 110, he does a huge reveal by stating that Donovan can read minds. And then in the following chapter, we find out that there is a mother associated with Anya who potentially can read minds as well. And so, yeah, I would be very curious to see where Tatsuya Endo takes this, and considering that he does all of these things subtly, the next one may be many chapters in the future, and even if it's nearby, it probably will be blended into the actual plot of the story that's coming up. But in any case, this is very curious. We're starting to get a lot more world building that we haven't seen for a long time in the previous chapters. And maybe Tatsuya Endo is starting to build this world so that there can be the next level of storytelling that he wants to bring out. But in any case, it is curious to see what he brings out in chapter 112. And once that comes out, I'll bring out another video. But this is the chapter 111 discussion of Spy Family. If you read it, what'd you think about it? Any comments will be greatly appreciated. And until the next episode, happy manga reading, and as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.